Hey, it's Chocobo, and welcome to my Loot from 1000 Vyrewatch Sentinels video. After completing the new Morytania quest, Sins of the Father, players can use their newly acquired Blisterwood Flail to kill Vyrewatch Sentinels. Vyrewatch Sentinels are pretty easy creature to kill. I found the best setup to be a maximum melee attack bonus setup with some added prayer bonus. There's an altar with many Vyrewatch very close to it, as well as the bank, so it's very convenient. So all you really need inventory-wise is maybe a superset and then your noble Vyrewatch armor to actually use the bank. I personally chose to use a mask cape in Proselyte rather than Bandos and my crappy fire cape because I got the AFK a little bit more, and then also people wouldn't constantly flame me for my eternal fire max cape, so yeah, about that. But in all seriousness, if you plan on doing this and you want to use the altar, make sure you bring that prayer bonus because it will save you a lot of trips to the altar. Initially, for around 8 hours of the update, you could use a cannon here, but that was nerfed because it was just really ridiculous with all the cannons in such a small, condensed space, and it didn't really make sense that vampires were able to be damaged by them. It should be noted these creatures can also be damaged by other weapons, but you have to use enchanted topaz rings, and also you can only max a 10 without this weapon, so not really worth it. Definitely recommend getting the flail. If you do the quest, you have it, so don't worry too much about it. The Vyrewatch monsters have a 1 in 5/12 unique drop, the Blood Shard. Blood Shards are used to upgrade the Amulet of Fury to an Amulet of Blood Fury, which has the same stats as the Fury Amulet, with a 10% chance to heal you for 10% of the damage you deal. Keep in mind this healing only works with melee attacks, so it's not really as useful as it might sound at first glance. On top of this, it only lasts for 10,000 actual damage splats, so it's not very good at all. I definitely don't know how it's going to hold its value. For those of you curious on the math behind this, I'll have it posted on the screen, and make sure you pause the video here just to read through that if you want. Thank you to the wiki for having this whole breakdown. Kind of a funny story, I actually stayed up all night to do this quest on release, but Jagex made an oopsie whoopsie and deleted people's ancestrals, so they actually had to roll back the servers, and they said they would be down for a couple hours, so I ended up going to bed, and I didn't actually start this quest until around 8 hours into the release. Hopefully this video will be out within the next day or so of the actual release. Besides the Blood Shard being obviously the most valuable drop from these guys, currently it's around 5 mil. Some surprising runner-ups were the Rune Kite Shields and, most importantly, the Vampire Dust. Vampire Dust has spiked dramatically in price due to one of the new activities in Darkmeyer requiring it, so if you are an Iron Man, I'd strongly recommend opening up a bank space when collecting this Blood Shard because you're really going to want to have these later on. These guys also have a standard 1 in 128 chance for a hard clue. I wish, since you're limited to using the flail, and it's going to be pretty rare to get this as a task seeing as you have to unlock it, I really think they should have added a rare chance to get an elite, maybe like a 1 in 500. But you never know, maybe they will change them in the future. Really early on into this update, it was very crowded. So even though the PvP worlds might seem tempting, it's definitely not somewhere you want to go. I only went there for a total of 5 to 10 minutes, and I saw 2 different people get PK'd in that span of time. Just remember, if you do happen to go to a PvP world, always make sure you only risk what you're willing to lose, and always have your attack options off for players, because you don't want to accidentally skull if you're 3-iteming or 4-iteming, depending on what you're doing, because that would be really bad. Honestly, I have to say that the drops are very underwhelming for these creatures. Now, as expected, it shouldn't be like Zulrah and even not like Wyverns and stuff, but just so ridiculous how bad the drop table is. And especially since I know the Blood Fury amulet is going to be so cheap because of its uselessness. Now, it is cool that it is a collection log item, and I don't complain about that, but other than that, man, there is really no reason to get it. I guess maybe if you're an Iron Man going to Bandos, but even then it would just be if you happened to get one while doing Slayer or something. And honestly, the EXP per hour for this is just not worth unlocking them at all. And that was an uneventful 1,000 kills. I want to remind you guys that it is a 1 in 5/12 for the Blood Shard. Very unlucky, but not insanely overdue, I guess. Maybe we'll get it while doing some pickpocketing here in the future. But let's go ahead and price check all of the notable loot. I'll have a runelight tracker to show exactly everything. And I went ahead and bought it all again on my main just so I could sell it back in the GE. So if I sold this for instant value, you guys would see what you'd approximately get. Also, I obviously don't want to drop the stuff on my Iron Man because I do want to do that agility course or whatever it is in the future, and I'm going to need that vampire dust. And don't forget, the runelight tracker is wrong. It's saying the vampire dust is only worth around 600 GP, whereas it sells in the GE instantly for 2k. If you wait a while, you can actually get it for around 2.6, seeing as that's what I instant bought mine for originally. So yeah, if you wait a while, you can be really patient, and honestly, that really bumps up this money per hour, but I imagine that will start to drop in price, and then also the amulet's gonna start dropping in price, and I just really don't see this method being very popular for very long, unless they buff it. If they buff the amulet by chance and make it for mage in range, it possibly will have more uses. I don't know if we'll see that, and even with its 10% heal value, I don't know how worth it would be to bring, but you never know. We'll see what they do with it in the future. If they leave it the same, I just don't see it having any value. And this is the notable clue scroll loot. We did get a bunch of unique items. Unfortunately, on my Iron Man, I only actually needed the Bandos bracers. It's really a shame that there wasn't a huge highlight on that Bandos chest plate. Oh, Bandos plate body, not a Bandos chest plate. I wish. That's the one thing I really want from Bandos right now. But yeah, it is a shame I already have that, because a Bandos plate body is one of the best items you can get on an Iron Man, because there is a master clue step which requires that. And it's kind of a pain in the butt because it requires a Bandos cloak, Bandos Godsword, and Bandos plate body, which are all from 3 different tier difficulties of clue scrolls. Definitely the hardest step in the game, unless it takes you 100,000 Moss Giants to get the Bryophyta essence. And there's only one dude I've known who's done that, and that's Rice Cup. Shout out to him. Watch his videos, he's pretty cool. The total profit ended up being right around 5.5 mil. This is the easiest calculation I've ever had to do because I've used less than 20 total supersets, and that's actually, I guess it's just pure sets technically, because I only use a super attack and super strength potion. Very, very cheap supplies. If you are a new player, I would definitely maybe try this out, but it's kind of weird because these quest requirements are really high for this, so I don't know if this would be exactly what you'd want to do as a new player. Because if you have these requirements, you can probably do something like Zulrah, and or you can do Song of the Elves and probably hunt Crystal Implings. And just for the sake of getting a Blood Fury amulet, I went and bought one on my main with all of the money I quote-unquote made, even though I kept that all on my Iron Man, just to show the difference in color. It's basically a recolored Fury, just like the Torture is. I like how they added another color. I wish they'd add a blue one, though, because that'd be pretty neat. Just at the end here, here's a little bonus clip for my Super Chocobo World Series. If you don't know, I actually do a completionist collection log series for my Iron Man, aka my dead hardcore Iron Man, but I do need the herbivore pet right now, so it's been a little bit on hold. But here's a little spoiler. Don't worry, it's not me getting the pet. Just one of the milestones. I wish I could say this is as far as I've gotten with this, but I've actually gotten a lot farther than 8,000. I just think it's okay to show you that now. But you can tell in my voice that I just, yeah. And we've moved on to kill number 8,000. It honestly doesn't make any difference at this point. I don't know, dude. I've lost all hope. The herbivore pet doesn't exist, dude. Why, world, why? That'll wrap up my 1000 Vyrewatch kill video. Thanks again for watching. I'd appreciate it if you could hit that like and sub button. Those really do help out the channel a lot and helps me out personally. Also, a massive thank you to my patrons. If you're interested in having your own pixel portrait at the end of every one of my videos, and they're all made by the one and only Kate, you may have seen some of her stuff on the Reddit before, make sure to check out the Patreon link in the description. There also should be a card on the screen. P.S. A couple of you patrons still have not responded to me on the Patreon DM thing, which means that I can't have Kate make you a portrait because I don't know what you guys really want. So make sure you check those if you don't already have your picture. Kate and I are still selling the rest of our pins. If you would like to check that out, it will be in the description below. It's also at etsy.com/shop/kateschoolpins. It is, yeah, that's our stuff, and they're selling out, so make sure you get those whenever. Last but not least, make sure you follow my Twitter as well as Kate's Twitter. Of course, those are always in the description. I actually want to get to 1,000 Twitter followers, so you guys could help me get there. Kate started passing me again, so can't have that anymore. But yeah, other than that, thank you again for watching. Vyrewatch loot sucks.